podcast, commentary, revolution. Hey friends, this is Timothy Kimo Bryan, your head instigator for Create Art Podcast, where I help you tame your inner critic and create more than you consume. So in 2023, I've been doing this thing called Kickstart Creativity, and it's 50 cards divided up into 3 different ways. And what they do is they really give you ideas, really explain concepts in the art world. And these concepts, cross all different disciplines. So this isn't just a writers only or theater people only or dancers only kind of thing. This really covers all your artistic disciplines. So my wife got these cards for me over the holidays in 2022, and I was thinking, wait, why? I'm the head instigator of Create Art Podcast. I, have a T-shirt on here that talks about Find a Podcast About, which is my other podcast, which you'll hear about at the end of the show. But why do I need these cards? And we all need these cards. We all need these little bits of inspiration, creativity. These little tidbits coming into us at all times. We all need this, okay? So what these cards are, like I said, they're 50 cards. They're broken up into 3 ways: perspective, intention, and action cards. And so what I've been doing is, once a week, I, do this episode. And I think about, actually I start on Sunday, pick a card, think about it throughout the whole week, get everything all set up, and then record the episode. So that's how this sausage is made for this stuff. And now I've been adding YouTube to it, so it's even better. So you get to see my ugly mug if you want to view this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on your podcast app of choice, that's fine too. You can do that. I have the links for my YouTube page in the show notes if you want that. So this week, Revolution. Ooh, this one was a fun one for me because I was thinking back towards my younger self when A, I had hair, B, more energy, C, less responsibilities. And I always, kidded around that, hey, I'm an anarchist in libertarian clothing and, burn it all down. And now that I am of an age and have certain responsibilities, I'm still a little bit of burn it all down, but let's do it before 10 p.m. on a Friday night and be done before 10 p.m. on a Friday night, because I got things I need to do on Saturday, like mow the lawn and do some landscaping and some laundry and dishwashing and all that kind of stuff. So my revolution is more compartmentalized, shall we say. So yeah, that's where we're starting off with, this revolution. Now with these cards, and the backs of them, are really awesome looking. I dig this. It's kind of a retro 70s feel to it. So on the front of the card, because, cards have backs on them for a reason. I'm teaching my girls how to play dirty clubs and euchre. So it's a card game out of the Midwest. So I'm not going to have any links in the show notes for that. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know, and that's okay. But one of the things that the cards always start off with is just, like a little kernel, a little sentence or two or something. And this one for revolution is: revolution often begins with the self, and we may not live to see the fruits of our actions during our lifetimes. Yeah, it does. Think about any major governmental revolution, because when I say the word revolution, that is one of the big things people think of, is they think of a government revolution. But there is also a personal revolution that you can have. There are, habits that you can stop. Like I stopped smoking cigarettes on July the 30th of 2022. Haven't picked one up since. That is a personal revolution because I've been smoking cigarettes since, I was 19. So 19 minus 50. Yes, you have math on this show as well. But, I've been smoking cigarettes for a long time, and that was a revolution. And, I quit many times. And I'm looking at this one as, I'm quitting. If I pick it up again, I pick it up again. But right now I'm quitting, and I'm good with that. There's been other revolutions in my life, other personal revolutions that are outside of art that have happened in my life. And, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So you know me, I love definitions. So we're going to get this from Cambridge Dictionary on the online version of it. And I've been liking this more than Merriam-Webster lately. So in earlier episodes, you're going to see me use Merriam-Webster. Last week, this week, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was using Cambridge Dictionary. I just like the way it is. And I like their definitions, I guess. It's a revolution in the sources that I'm using. Haha. But revolution, according to them, is a change in the way a country is governed, usually to a different political system, and often using violence or war. That's when I think of revolution. That's what I think of. A very important change in the way that people do things. Oh my God. There we go. That's what we're going to focus on. Okay. But there's another revolution, a movement in a circle or curve around a central point. Oh my gosh, that's my turntable right there, because it has 33 1/3 revolutions per minute. Again, math, you're getting it today. So, like I said, we're going to stick with the second part of the definition, a very important change in the way people do things. Now, I started Create Art Podcast many, many years ago, and I used to call it KDOI Podcasting, Chemo's Den of Iniquity, which nobody knew. So we changed the name to Create Art Podcast, because that's basically what I want to have happen here. So I want to help you create, art in any way, shape, or form. And for those of you that are watching on the YouTube, I know, right? Yes, my fingernails and my toenails, I'm not going to show you my toenails, are painted because my kids wanted to paint my nails. They're cute. They're adorable. Let them paint my nails. I used to paint my nails in high school anyways. So, and I had black eyeliner and black fingernail polish. I didn't wear the black lipstick though, but that was just, for me, that was my signal that I was a revolutionary person. I was not happy with the status quo. I wanted a change in things, and I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know what changes I wanted, and what are the possible outcomes of those changes. I just wanted change, and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes just wanting change for change's sake is not a good thing. It's not a good reason. So we're going to move on with the card here, and I'm going to try to read directly from the card here. So for those of you that are just listening to the audio, you're missing out on half the fun that we're having over here on YouTube. So check out the YouTube channel if you are so inclined. But this is still a podcast, so thank you, Dave Jackson. This has an RSS feed, and I should probably edit all that out, but I'm not going to, because we're going to push on. So this is a perspective card. Remember, there's 3 types of cards in this deck: perspective, action, and intention cards. So this is a perspective card. Womanist writer, activist, and librarian Audre Lorde teaches us that revolution doesn't have to be accompanied by coups and armies. Lorde begs us to resist the idea that being silent somehow keeps us safe, maintaining that we swallow the words we need to say out loud. We slowly poison ourselves. Revolution can come when we simply walk away from the illusion that silence is shelter. Revolution can arrive the moment we decide to speak with our own voices. Yeah. Ouch. So, silence is not safety. And I really love that. Before I get going into silence is not safety, I do have a couple of links for Audre Lorde in the show notes. So it's always good to go to createartpodcast.com, look up the podcast episodes, which will be right there for you. And you'll click on the title of the show, and you'll get all these great show notes. Now back to the card. So silence is not safety. There are a lot of things going on in our world. today here in 2023. I'm recording this on August the 13th of 2023. There are a lot of bad things going on in our country, in our states, in our cities, in our world. And if we don't talk about it, if we don't go out there and say something about it, then we're accepting it. And, accepting the bad things that are happening it's not safe, because they're going to continue to happen. And if we're not saying anything about it because it's not affecting us, wait till it does. It will. Some people, we're going to get a little political here. So some people go, well, I'm not gay. I'm not a lesbian. This stuff doesn't really affect me. Guess what? Oh, it does, because it is infringing on somebody's right to love who they want to love and to reap the benefits that are economically intertwined with the way our society is. Okay. So yeah, you may not be in a homosexual relationship or whatever, I don't want to say outside of a normal relationship, because, heterosexual relationship should not be considered necessarily the norm. But you may not be in a homosexual relationship or a triad or stuff like that. But when people who are involved in a homosexual relationship and their rights are tread upon, they can't get married, they can't have the same rights to, estates, and they aren't allowed to openly express themselves. A drag show. There's parts in this country where they're trying to make drag shows illegal. Because they're trying to silence somebody. They're trying to silence the LGBTQ plus community. And what's up with that? Come on. There's nothing wrong with a drag show. I think I saw a little TikTok video saying drag shows, they're disgusting. They're hideous. They're vile. And you need to make sure that kids do not go to drag shows because they're disgusting, hideous, and vile. And they may hurt the drag queen. And I was just like, yes, I love that. So, and that's just one thing that, is, it affects my house. It affects my house because myself, people can look at me and they go, oh yeah, he's a nice waspy guy. He's a white and he's straight and he's a Christian, Protestant, probably, blah, 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 blah. And then they see my tattoos and they're like, oh, well, who knows? But what they don't know is that, well, I've had boyfriends in the past, so I do consider myself bisexual. And if you didn't know that before, well, now you know it now. We do hang the pride flag outside of our house. We want people to know of that community that this is a safe place. And guess what? I'm part of that community too. It's a safe place. I'm in a heterosexual relationship with one person, my wife, and that's the only person I'm going to have a relationship with. That's all the only person I want to have a relationship with in that context. And I want to let the community at large know that this is a safe place, that people, in and out of that scene, of that community, are safe here. You can come here and be safe. So that is, now I do this in a neighborhood where, yes, some people do fly the Confederate flag. They more likely fly the Don't Tread on Me flag, but a few people around here do like to fly the Confederate flag. They are making a statement and they are using their voice. And some of them do want a revolution, and I don't agree with what they want, and I'm not going to support the revolution. But that's getting out of the politics government side of the house, sticking more with the artistic side of the house. There have been tons of revolutions in the artistic world. There are different movements. There's different that have caused the different genres that we see. And, we can do all the isms if you want, but a lot of times they're a reaction to what came before. The romantics, the modern romantics, the pre-post Cro-Magnon romantics. Each artistic movement, has their name for it. And, when we learn about them, when we truly learn about these movements, you discover some fantastic things. I'm a big fan of surrealism, and I hate the fact that people use surrealism to say anything that's weird, anything that's outside of their normal accepted beauty is, oh, that's so surrealistic. No, it's not. Surrealism comes from the dream world, bringing the dream world into the accepted reality world that we have, and bringing those thoughts and feelings and emotions and all that, taking it out of our head and putting it on a canvas, or putting it in a song, putting a tune to it, dance to it, a poem to it, what have you. So it's not just, oh, it's weird, it must be surrealistic. No. Oh, it's just a Mark Rothko. It's just slapping a line of one color of a paint on a wall. Oh, that's very abstract. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It may not be abstract. That may be him trying to represent something that's right in front of his face, and and being very claustrophobic about it. Okay. Doesn't mean it's necessarily abstract, but getting that information from the artist is always a good thing to do. I would recommend it anyways. So right now we need to go into the challenges that come with each card. And that is a wonderful thing, with these cards. It's, not only gives you a definition, not only gives you somebody to maybe look up, and again, all links are in the show notes here, but it challenges you to do something. So here's the challenges. First challenge is, what sounds and secrets are you harboring? How might proclaiming them out loud through your creative endeavors lead to change? Well, I just did one here today. I let you guys know that for me, it's not a big thing. Hey, I'm not going to be sleeping with any of you out there that are watching this or listening to this. I'm not planning on having sex with any of you, but yeah, I'm bisexual. So that does influence how I approach art and how I approach the world and my viewpoint. So that is a lens through which I see the world. And when I was in grad school, I really hated, the lens thing, the lens there, but I understand it. And again, I was feeling that people were using that incorrectly. So that is the lens that I see the world through. And there's other things that color and tint and mess up the lens that I see through. Distort, warp. There we go. That's the idea. That's the thought I was thinking about. And I wear glasses too. And, I'm getting a little bit of a glare. And for those of you that are on YouTube, I apologize for that. For those of you that are not on YouTube, you don't care. You're just like, oh, okay. So he's got a glare in his glasses. So we'll figure out how to fix that. So the second challenge is, consider the forces of injustice that disgrace the world. What do you and your collaborators see a need for? Where do you and your collaborators see a need for revolution? Well, when I'm collaborating with myself, so I see a lot of revolutions that need to happen in our world, our country, our state, our city, even this house. There's revolutions that need to happen. Now, we don't need to burn it all down and build a new house. We can change things in this house. We can change things within ourselves. And that can ripple out to the world at large. Being the example speaks volumes more than just holding up a sign one day during the week. I remember in the 80s in the 80s, I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian church, and a fundamentalist Judeo-Christianist church. It was Church of God. And there was, it was very anti-abortion, anti-choice. And I remember people, hey, we're going to go and hold a sign at the abortion clinic this weekend. Great. It's only open through Monday through Friday, but you go ahead and hold your sign. You just go right ahead and do that. It's your right. You can do that. You can't intimidate people, and just hold your sign up quietly and shut up. But now we're seeing the effect that has had with overturning of Roe v. Wade, and all the states now that are trying to outlaw abortion outright. They're doing their damnedest, and they're going to keep on going until they get what they want. If you disagree with that, it is incumbent upon you to do what you can to help the fight in that, in your art, in your personal life, in your conversations with people. So I consider that a force of injustice, one of many. And, is it a red button item? Yep, I know. And am I maybe going to catch a little bit of heat from that? Okay, fine. I'll catch heat. You can email me at timothy@createartpodcast.com. Bring the heat. But that is the way I feel. And that is the way, that is the lens that I look through the world. So, whatever that is for you, I'm just telling you what it is for me. Some of the things that it is for me. You may have your own viewpoint, and that's okay. And your viewpoint may be in direct opposition to my viewpoint. I'm not going to say that that's okay. It's okay. I just hope it's well reasoned, and you can, communicate that in a way that doesn't physically or emotionally hurt somebody. Or just be mindful of it. Well, physically don't touch somebody, but emotionally be mindful of the damage it could do or the impact it could have. Third challenge is revolution doesn't have to be drastic. It can be simple and immediate. What is one mini revolution you alone can lead right now? And that happened July the 30th of 2022. I quit smoking cigarettes. That is a small thing. It is a big thing for health, yes, but it is a small thing that it helped with my relationship with my wife, because now I don't taste like an ashtray. I don't reek of smoke. And that was, it's because I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. That is simple. That is immediate. And my health is getting better because of it. So that's one thing that you can do. Let's talk about art. What's one thing in art that you can do in whatever practice that you're in? One small thing that I do is, in November, I do the National Novel Writing Month. And in April, I do the National Poetry Writing Month. And I make that a point. Is that a huge thing? No. Do I, am I making millions and millions of dollars? Am I having a huge impact on the world because of it? No. But it's something that I do, and it's something that I talk about year in and year out, and almost since KDUI started, my old podcast, which is still this podcast, but just different name. It was a rebrand, but that is something that I did. Another thing is another mini revolution could be that you're attending a conference or you're getting insight from those in your field about how to do your work better. That's a mini revolution. Why not? You're changing the old with some new information. So give that a shot for yourself. See what happens for you in that. Couple of ideas I want you to consider before I let you go today, and have you get going with what you need to get going with. With a revolution, you're embracing vulnerability. Today, I'm embracing the vulnerability that I had by letting you know, my sexual orientation, by letting you know certain things about me. I have fingernail polish on. My daughter did a decent job with it. Not with the toenails, though. I don't like how the toenails look. And that's why I'm not going to show you the toenails. That is embracing vulnerability, but that's also, not wanting to have you look at my toes, which are not the prettiest looking toes on the face of the planet. My wife likes them. That's all that matters. You probably not so much. And I don't sleep with you. So there you go. But embracing our vulnerability, and one thing that I like to say is that, I don't know everything. I'm not the smartest person in the room. And if I am the smartest person in the room, I need to find a new room because I don't need to be there. Even in the room that you and I are talking right now, whether you're watching me on YouTube or, you got me in your earbuds, I am not the smartest person. I have ideas. I have thoughts. I have opinions, but I'm not the smartest person in the room. You actually are the smartest person in the room. You're searching. You're looking for new things. You're looking for ways to tame your inner critic and create more than you consume. So that's why you're here. Or you may be here because you just saw it and you're like, wow, yeah, let me see what this guy's doing. And hey, welcome aboard. Another point I want you to consider is, breaking creative barriers. So if you're stuck doing something, and I got to tell you, for years, I was stuck writing the same poem. It was about a barista in a coffee shop and a guy that wanted to get with the barista, but was too shy about doing it. I wrote that poem, I don't know how many times. I'm done writing that poem. I'm good. I have my barista, and she's a wonderful woman. And we've made some wonderful children. We've had some fantastic times. I don't need to write that poem anymore. It's been written. I bought the t-shirt. I'm done with it. Okay. There's other things I need to write about. So if you're finding yourself, having you're hitting your head against the wall because you can't think of what to do, well, then learn something new. Go search out, your heroes, the people that are important in your artistic discipline. Find out from them what they're doing. Find out what other people, maybe not even the leaders, maybe your next door neighbor plays bass guitar and you play bass guitar. Go over next door and say, hey, can we jam together? Where did you learn how to play bass guitar? Start that conversation up. For the record, my next door neighbor does not play bass. Cultivating self-reflection, having these many revolutions is so it really helps you focus in on yourself and your upbringing and why you do things the way you do things. And we all need that self-reflection in order to make that revolution successful, whatever success means to you. But it does cultivate that self-reflection that we all need to have, which breaks our barriers. It's like, I'm planning these out. I'm thinking these out. This is great. I'd watch me. Constant learning and adaptation. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. We need to be we need to be a student. We need to be a student of the world, both environmentally, but socially, economically. There is a lot to learn out there. You're not going to learn it all. You're not. But you can learn enough to be dangerous, which is really important in a revolution, I'd say. But you need to be having that constant learning and adaptation because, there's things that I thought in the past were right and they weren't. So think about that for yourself. Merging passion with purpose. What are you interested in doing? Your passion and your purpose are going to go exponentially wonderful when you have that mini revolution for yourself. And then lastly, resilience and perseverance. Keep on going. Keep on going. It's going to work out. You're going to, when you hear crickets all the time, it'll be okay. This will be the thing that keeps you going. So it'll help when you have these many revolutions. It'll help with that resilience and perseverance, which we all need. So that's, pretty much what I have to say on revolution for this week. Tune in next week when I will tell you what I was contemplating during the week. But just a few things that I'd like to put out there for you as, reaching out to the podcast. You can reach out to me, Timothy at createartpodcast.com. I want to know about your journey. I want to share it with other people. I want, your inspiring stories to be heard through the platform that I'm choosing to use. So definitely reach out to me. I don't bite that much. A little bit, but not too much. You can reach out to me through that. You can, obviously, the YouTube channel. If you're watching me on YouTube, you know how to find me. But if you're listening to me, go to the show notes and I'll link you up right with the YouTube channel there. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I'm also on Threads, and Twitter's turned into X. So you know how that goes. I'm on all the socials, and it's important to be there because you're everywhere. So I want to be where you're at. I want to be in your ears. Now, if you found, any value in this podcast, hey, go share it with a friend. That's the best way to discover new podcasts. I really want this to be a 5-star podcast for you. So I need to hear from you. Automatically, I think it's a 5-star podcast right now. But if you're not finding it to be a 5-star podcast, if you're not finding it to be fitting your needs, I need to know about that. And I would like the opportunity to talk to you about that, whether it be through email or whatnot. But let me know what's going to make this a 5-star podcast for you. Again, I'm not the smartest man in the room. I'm not the smartest person in the room. If I am, I get out of that room. So I really want to know what's going to make this into a 5-star podcast for you. Now, does that mean I'm going to include everything that everybody writes in and says, hey, Tim, do this. Hey, Tim, do that. Hey, Tim, go get a mohawk. I don't have hair, but that's fine. And if you were on the YouTube channel, you'd laugh even harder at that. But I do want to incorporate things that are going to really get you jazzed up about this. Jazzed up. He's got a turntable in the background here. But yeah, I'd really appreciate you letting me know. And if you think it is a 5-star podcast, share it with your friends. There's a ton of different ways you can share podcasts with folks. So you can do it through your app of choice. You can share the website. I'm not going to cry. Just share it with somebody. Speaking about sharing with a friend, for those of you that are on the YouTubes, I am wearing a t-shirt. Now, my Find a Podcast About t-shirt. And that's where I Find a Podcast About is where I help you find your next binge-worthy podcast and outsmart the algorithm. And you can find that one at findapodcastabout.xyz. I know, kind of crazy. I like to keep things simple. I'm a simple kind of person. So check out that podcast. I review podcasts that I really enjoy listening to that I highly recommend. And people sometimes will go ahead and send me recommendations. I'll listen to it and I'll see if I agree with it or if I see something else in it that they don't see. And then I'll make an episode out of it. So if you're looking for new podcasts, well, the podcast that I refer you to may not necessarily be a brand new podcast, but it's new to you. So if you need a new to you podcast, let me know and meet me on over there. As you know, I'm trying this whole YouTube thing. I'm actually asked a good friend of mine, Dave Jackson, over at School of Podcasting, hey, Dave, about like a microphone arm, because this right here is annoying to me. I'm looking at this and going, man, dude, get the microphone either. You don't need to see the arm. You don't need to see this part right here. Maybe you just need to see the microphone. So, he gave me a great recommendation for a microphone arm that I'm going to, take him up on and go get that. So the next time you see me, I may have a different microphone arm. You may see the microphone, but you're not going to see the arm, which I just think looks better. Looks a little bit more polished. And then I got to do something about the glasses and that. And, for those of you that are just listening, just bear with me. Okay. Just bear with me on this. But I am trying to make this to be a YouTube channel that, it's a different outlet for me, quite frankly. And I always say, I have a face for podcasting because you can't see my face. So it's a thing. It's part of the revolution, the MIDI revolution of myself, that, accepting the fact that I'm a handsome guy. I'm handsome. I'm somebody's cup of tea. Obviously, I'm married. So I'm somebody's cup of tea, and we made kids, so I'm really their cup of tea. But it is a new thing for me, and I appreciate any comments that you have on it, any suggestions that you have on it. Because again, I'm not the smartest man in the room. I'm not the smartest person in the room, and nor do I ever try to be. So with all that being said, I want to thank you for joining me here today, this lovely Sunday morning. Now go out there and tame that inner critic with the information that you just got today. Tame that inner critic. Create more than you consume. Go out there, make some art for somebody you love, and a revolution. Do that too. Go do that for yourself. I'll talk with you next time.